You did pick it?
One of the most important.
One of the top.
Is that a Galaxy S4?
Uh-huh.
Ooh. Spent some money on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I seem a little odd.
Digital sales and sales assistants and those kind of things. And everyone's kind of put together. Who runs the board and make sure that all the mics are at the right level, and when they call for a song or whatever, all that stuff is done in here.
Got the control panel. And all
Exactly.
that stuff, yeah. Okay.
And these guys just kind of sit in and they're the voices.
Okay. That's cool.
Now, this is kind of old radio. This is the way kind of talk radio is done. You have the talk studio, and then on the music stations, the jocks themselves are the ones who sit in the control room and do that. And we'll look at those. This is just this.
What I see mostly on TV, I guess.
Yeah. Now, the on air. Let's walk over here in case, because this one, what you're looking at there is what we call a production studio. We'll do commercials.
Commercial stuff.
We'll do what's big now in radio is called voice tracking, where I can go on in there and I can voice track. I can put my voice into a show to where when you hear it on the air, you'd think somebody was in there live,
Right there with it.
and they're not. But we can do all that from any of these studios that we're standing around now.
Oh, okay.
One of the on-air studios.
Mind if I take pictures of
Hey,
that?
Dan.
Yeah, we're trying to do a virtual tour here for our school.
Okay, what do you do, Brian?
I make the commercials. I
Okay.
produce and voice and make sure that everything that's an ad gets on the air.
Do you make commercials for all of the radio stations, or just?
All of our radio stations here.
And how many radio stations do y'all have?
We have 6.
Six.
Six of them, yeah.
There's 6 different frequencies.
Yes.
Okay. Does you have an antenna system for each frequency? How does that work?
Yeah, they're all they're on different. Every station has a separate antenna. One of them actually broadcasts on 2 different. iHeart is on 2 things. It's on FM on 103.1, and it's also on HD on the second stream of 98.1.
Okay, and where are those towers located?
That's a question for engineering.
I see. Okay. All right. Thank you.
I'm not.
This jockey sits over here, runs everything from the board. This is all in one.
So is it on air right now, sir?
Yes, I mean there's nobody in here right now, but it is on the air right now.
I see.
So if we walk over and start punching buttons, somebody will come in here and tackle you and drag you out.
Okay.
Oh, darn it.
Okay. You see the root record button come up here and it's flashing, everything is recording.
Oh, okay.
Does yours do that?
Yeah, I think it records. Yeah, it does record video. I don't know. I was just going to try to get just to record it, where I could hear, But I don't think that's going to happen. That's probably because it's on video. Huh?
Smile, you on video camera.
Yeah.
You're going to break that camera.
Yeah, he's gone. I know what it's done for me.
They fix all this stuff and make sure it all works right.
No, we're just on a tour.
These are just some of the supercomputers. Yeah, some of the servers. These are the servers for the on-air thing.
Thank you.
These are ways we can connect with places all over the world. So when something breaks, we call them and they come over here and do something with it. And
Right. With a bunch of wires in the back.
exactly. And then this area behind here is all of our engineering equipment and stuff as well.
Okay.
Back to the store, back in there. And we have racks and racks of stuff.
Servers.
Nobody knows what all that stuff is. That's the world's worst printer. This thing
Not the only one.
goes down about every 10 minutes. You
Oh
can't
my
print it.
gosh.
Like the one in school.
Like this little table.
Their stuff is all back over there. And that's them. Going through one.
So,
It's just a roadblock. That's all.
so I have a question for you. Now, you say you have 6 radio stations, right? Okay. How many people does that cover?
How many people listen to them?
Well, what's the area?
All of Around 100 miles.
for all 6, 100-mile
Yeah,
radius?
they're all about the same. You know, some of them are a little more, some of them a little less.
Okay. So your towers,
Just on the
how high do your towers have to be to transmit those frequencies?
We have, it depends on what you're licensed for. The FCC gives us licenses. Some of them are 100,000 watts at 1,000 feet. Some of them are 50,000 watts at 250 feet. It's all what your license gives you.
I see.
So we have 2 or 3 of them that are 100,000 watts, which is the highest, which is the most you can be at 1,000 feet. Or you can go to 2,000 feet, but you can only broadcast at 50,000 watts.
I see.
It's all a mathematical equation
Right.
of how it's done. So we have 103.1, I think, is what's called a translator. It runs at about 100 watts, but it still covers most of the area. So we have a bunch of different ones, but it all depends on what your license from the FCC allows.
Okay. So 100 miles radius, that's a pretty big size of Central Texas, right?
Yeah, pretty good chunk. And we go almost to San Antonio to the south and up above Temple to the north.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Y'all stream out, y'all, in other words, are there certain areas that get a better broadcast, like y'all go more to the west, or?
It depends on, there are, with each station, we have a contour where, like say, if our tower is in the south, then that means that we have to protect the San Antonio stations because the FCC guarantees us a certain radius. So if our tower is in the south, then we have to project more northward so that we don't interfere with them. And the same with San Antonio. They have to make sure they're not interfering with us. So we move our antennas around to where it'll kind of cover the area it has to.
The reason I'm asking is I listen to KVET, and it doesn't come in the mornings and Giddings very well at all.
A lot of that is atmospheric problems. If it's terribly overcast, then our signal will kind of hit and bounce, and a lot of times it'll bounce completely out of the area, and you'll pick up a Dallas station better than you do us.
Oh, that's why you get stations sometimes far away.
Exactly. And then when it's clear, it
It's
goes
usually
back.
in the morning.
Yeah, it's almost always in the morning. It's called the temperature inversion.
Okay, but are you primarily AM or FM?
FM. We have
FM.
one AM station.
Okay.
I usually stay tuned to KVET all the time. I really hardly ever off the truck.
That's one of our favorites. We love it. So if you guys have those questions, I think now would be a good time to kind of go through those. And Todd is our Vice President of Sales. He can answer, or at least dance around any question you got.
As we've been going around, we've been asking him questions, just more of our own personal questions about the radio stations and stuff, because the questions central office sent us, we looked at those, what? We're wondering, why do they want to know this stuff? But anyway.
Yeah, what do you have?
What you got?
I'll just go through, because I think yours are a little bit different, but I think everybody else's are about the same. I think yours are the same as ours, right? Okay, the first one we have is what percentage of each hour is devoted to music?
JT?
That probably makes a difference.
I'm sorry.
in different stations, right?
One more time? I was looking at
Percentage
her.
of each hour is devoted to music?
We play about 14 songs an hour, 13 or 14. So it's 12 minutes of commercials and the rest is all music.
So 78% of the hour is music.
A percentage?
78%.
I'm not a percent guy.
78% is music and or other content.
Okay.
Which is why I brought you in, Todd.
He's percent, he's smarter than me. Yeah.
He's a math guy.
Yes. He does that stuff, it freaks me out.
And I don't know, this next one says, what formula is used to determine the price of, and it gives three, like a national commercial, a political commercial, and a live commercial.
It's all driven by sellout. So if we have 100% of commercial inventory to sell, the higher the percent of sellout, the higher the price goes.
That's a supply and demand kind of thing.
Yep.
Airline tickets, selling airline tickets.
So right now, it costs a lot.
We like it when it costs a lot.
But you don't have a
percentage or anything that you try to give? Anything
No,
like
so
that?
we have a software that calculates, it's based on algorithms that calculates all the potential revenue that we could yield from the inventory that we have. So we really don't have to figure that out, we just have to figure out at what opportunity do we need to play Let's Make a Deal.
So only the computer knows.
Yeah, the computer really knows.
That's scary.
It says, how do you determine the coverage area for ratings of service? Or do you usually have a formula there?
So we don't have any input as to the ratings. That's done by a third party. Their name is Nielsen. The coverage areas, and JT can speak more to this, is based on the wattage of the signals that we have. So we don't necessarily determine those, but it's determined more by the placement of our towers.
Which is regulated by the FCC.
FCC, exactly. And you know, obviously, our coverage area is determined by a third party, which is called, they outline a TSA or a DMA, which are three-letter acronyms of frankly, I don't know,
Target survey area.
target survey area, and but
DMA is.
Okay, sir, I have a question for you. How large is your staff?
in our building, we have about 108 full-time employees. Sales is comprised of about 45 or 50 of those. The rest are programming, promotions, and operations.
In terms of educational background, what are you primarily looking for or hoping to see in people that are coming to you?
Well, I'm a Rhodes Scholar, so.
We try to get him through the 4th or 5th grade.
Read at a third grade level, no. You know, it varies a great deal. I mean, obviously, from a sales perspective, we prefer people with college education. You know, but we understand that the roads to success are not necessarily the same paved road for everyone. So, you know, we case by case, but there is some level of technical skill set that's needed on the sales side as well as on the programming side.
And the programming side is less education and more talent. Can you reach out to people? Are you entertaining those kinds of things?
That hurts, by the way.
I think the world's getting more that way.
Yeah. What are your other questions?
On sales, do sales people get commission, or
Oh, yeah. That's how they earn their living.
is there a formula for that, or it's just
It's based on percentages, and you know, we're an incentive-laden business, so the person who earns the most typically sells the most against a specific asset base, and we incentivize the asset that we want sold more of. So there's no real formula other than the fact that I throw a dart at a board. Whatever that percentage ends up being is the way we go.
And how do your ratings drive your sales, your music, and stuff like that?
It's the old chicken and the egg question.
They don't really drive the music. We have what is called, there's a system that's called M-Score, and we can actually see what songs are doing well when people are using meters, or what we do ratings by. It's a personal people meter, and we can see people either tuning in or tuning out specific songs. And we also do call-out research, which if you ever gotten a phone call, would you like to listen to a bunch of songs? Now they do it online. They send you an email, you listen to clips of songs. Ratings obviously decide.
Yeah, I mean, ratings factor in some, but they're not the sole driver of how we sell our properties and our assets, because, we're a lifestyle business. So we can sell, we understand that people love country music, and so we don't necessarily need a rating to reflect that people love country music. You can go to any local show and see that people show up. So there's a delicate dance between selling ratings and selling numbers and selling people. So to some of our clients, ratings are the end-all be-all, and there's many of our clients that don't even care. They don't even know what rating is. So we have to make sure that we are able to dance between the two.
But by and large, the higher your ratings, the more we're able to charge.
Yeah, the more we're able to charge goes back to that whole sell-out scenario.
Okay, I have another question for you. How many people are you competing with in this same line of work?
Everybody who wants to sell third parties' goods or services and to market their business is a competitor.
Okay.
So radio is oftentimes viewed as our closest competitor, but I think the direction of our business, the direction of our company in general, radio is becoming less of a competitor for us in the radio business because we are competing more with digital, we are competing more with entertainment events. You know, like I said, going back to lifestyle, there's a number of different ways to deliver a quality audience or consumer that's lifestyle driven that, you know, frankly, traditional media, you know, sometimes misses on. So anyone who's trying to drive, his business is built on selling a third party access to consumers is a competitor to us.
Okay. Has the internet enhanced your business, or do you see it as something that's hurting your business?
It's absolutely enhanced our business. I mean, we're a very, very smart company, so we understand that the mobile space and the online space is a space in which, you know, our people go to seek out our content. So, you know, we're in that space. You know, we're not just a traditional radio station or deliverer of content anymore. We're delivering it online and delivering it via mobile device, just like, you know, any smart company would be.
And one last question for me. Do you know the size of your audience, and how do you determine that?
We don't determine the size of our audience. A third party determines the size of our audience, but I do know that on any given week, we're reaching anywhere from 800 to 1 million people in the Austin metro area, which is about 60%.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And do you know about what percentage of your sales come from your internet site?
Yeah, it's about 10% or so.
Is that your last question?
What do you have there?
I'm sorry, I've
Don't apologize.
separate.
See how quick I handle these?
Yes, you're doing a great job. All right, what my boss asked me to ask that question. It's not my question.
It depends on the time of the day. We're as live as we can be. We use the pre-recorded stuff as a tool so that other people can do other things throughout the day. But it doesn't mean they're not here. They're not real personalities.
Sure.
I'm in the
There's some that
studio.
are
I'm in the
live,
studio.
But are live from a different place. They're still live here then.
So yeah, when you hear Bobby Bones, he's live, but he's in Nashville.
Except for today.
Except for today, he's here. Yeah.
He's actually
Pictures
here.
of him back there.
Okay, so that percentage would be.
I mean, I would say we're probably a little heavier on the live side, 70-30.
Yeah, I'd say about 70-30, somewhere
But
around there.
what's important to you know remember is that people don't know who's live and who's not.
Right,
You know, because
absolutely.
technology makes
Right.
everyone sound live. But the important thing for us and we remind all of our people that just as many people come for the music and stay for the personalities and vice versa.
Right.
So you know, as long as we continue to play the music they want to hear, and then our personalities give them the content or that personal feeling, it doesn't affect our sales at all.
It's not about being live, it's about being entertaining.
Correct. All right. Do the air personalities earn extra money for voicing or producing national commercials, political commercials, or live commercial during drive time?
We do live commercials, we get endorsement fees for that type of stuff.
But the other, no.
It all depends on the deal, but no.
Most, we don't allow our talent to voice political commercials.
Good idea. All righty. How does being a radio personality compare to being a television personality?
We're cooler.
We're not as
cooler.
pretty.
We don't have to shave.
We're not as pretty.
But we've got several personalities that do TV as well.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder for a TV guy to come do radio
Sure.
than a radio guy to go do TV.
Right.
TV is very, very structured, and they have a cue card in front of you that you read. And radio, it's all you
Take it
just
up off your
copy.
head.
Yeah, okay. And what are the three things an air personality can do to help improve his voice or diction?
Don't smoke.
Don't smoke and don't smoke.
Don't smoke, don't smoke, don't smoke. It's one of the worst things you can do for your voice. Drink lots of water. Coffee's okay, they say it's not the greatest. But yeah, smoking's one thing you just... as we're drinking coffee. But again, it's not about that big, deep voice either. It's
No,
about having a
no.
big personality.
Sure.
We're not all going to sound like Bob Pickett. Hey, I had to throw you there, man.
Yeah, right. It's the coffee.
Coffee for you, water for them.
All right, Bob's case, tequila.
Which is what 5% water as well.
We have an endorsement right now.
What determines an air personality's salary?
experience, good market.
You said marriage?
Marriage? Wow.
History and ratings.
Yeah.
Track record, success.
This is normal for any other job, really. All right, that does it.
I had one more question, not on here, but like in your morning shows, like on KPAP, how much of that show is actually pre-planned, like the discussions that go on, and how much is really are just, you know, topics that come up while
They
you're
better be
talking?
pre-planned the day before, or they're in a lot of trouble.
Pre-planned.
A lot of it, but again, they also talk about their lives on the air too, so they live their lives. So when they leave here today, if something happens, well, then they're gonna talk about it. And they do talk throughout the day as to, hey, we're gonna do this, or an email may go off from me saying, hey, you have to talk about this tomorrow. Some of it's off the cuff. News happens overnight. They find something cool, they're gonna talk about it.
And the other side is the topic may be decided, but what they're gonna say about it is on the cuff.
We have to be ready to respond to what the list is.
Someone's gonna call in too.
Yeah.
I have a question. What is the percent of stability of your force?
Of our what?
Your force, your workforce.
Oh, workforce? That's a trick question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's typically pretty stable. I mean, like any sales organization, you're gonna turn over a number of people. Typically, you know, that number is anywhere from, you'll turn over 10 to 25% on a bad year. This past year's been a little bit of an anomaly because I showed up. But typically it's not, you know, in a well-run sales organization, you're not gonna have that much turnover. On the other side, the programming and the rest of our house, it's even less than that.
Bob Pickett celebrates 30 years coming up here. Is it March 1st?
April 1st.
April 1st.
Yeah.
I was 6 years
Oh,
old.
congratulations.
6 years. That's just not in the industry. That's at these radio stations, Case and K-Back. 30 years. That's a feat.
That's unheard of.
It really is.
If you could recommend courses for students to take that would be interested in this career field, what would you recommend?
Marketing.
Business.
Advertising.
Advertising, marketing, yeah.
I think business, social sciences, anything that's gonna broaden their business acumen. Far too many people that are in our business see one directional, and they're not versed in enough about enough things. So, you know, taking really good general courses that can teach them a lot about the world they live in, and how to react to several different instances, I think is gonna be the best use of their time.
Are y'all pretty diverse in y'all's education?
I told you guys, I just showed up here.
Is anybody in here educated at all?
Mailed me a piece of paper.
I'm international business.
International business,
I'm marketing,
marketing. Where did you get your marketing degree?
Texas State University.
Yay, mama.
I'm a public relations with a minor in Spanish.
Okay. Miss, where did you get your international marketing? You said.
International business, Texas A&M, Diego.
Oh, okay.
Communications doesn't
Dallas
into
Communications Radio Television Film.
RTF.
University,
UT.
University of Texas.
I did
Oh.
the communications route, and then I started on the air right when I was 18.
What year? When'd you graduate?
2002 is me.
If we have any more questions, we need to let them get back to it.
Okay.